Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So I apologise for the fact that it feels like such a long time that I last filmed a video. I mean, I know I did a short one last week, but today's is something incredibly exciting that, again, never thought it would happen. So yeah, a bit of a backstory. I have been a fan of Derren Brown now for, I want to say, since late 2000s, so quite a long time, like 15 years maybe. I want to say it's been 15 years. And if you've been subscribed to my channel for a long time, you will know that I went to see him in Showman in 2021 and 2022. And in actual fact, in 2021, when I went to see the show, I was actually used on stage as part of the show. And then on Tuesday, I went to see his latest tour, which was Only Human, live at Leeds Grand Theatre, and I was actually used again on stage. And a lot of people had said to me that, like, sometimes at Derren's shows he can recognise people, and maybe if you've been used before you might not be used again. So I wasn't really expecting anything to actually happen, and I also do want to put like a short disclaimer out there just to say, if you have tickets to Only Human, then do not watch this video, because technically I am about to spoil like the trick that I took part in. So yeah, if you're going to the show, then I advise not to watch this, basically, because yeah, I know Derren says he meant to keep the show a secret, but I just want, while it's fresh in my mind, I want to talk about what happened to me. So yeah, so it basically started as soon as I got into the theatre, because me and Jade were literally, I think I'd just gone to the toilet and we were chilling, just like hanging out, waiting for the doors to open. And I think it was one of his team approached me and Jade and said, do either of you two have a photo of in your phone of a special place, a special memory, or of somebody that you miss? And I knew that I had like quite a few photos, and I have lost quite a few people, and I thought, well, yeah, I guess I do have like some of people I miss. And I was obviously thinking of my granddad, but then I remembered I probably wouldn't have time to get a photo of him up, so I was in a bit of a rush. And then I remembered I had quite a few photos of me and Ollie. So I said, is it okay if I'm in the photo as well, or has it just got to be of the person? And he was like, no, it's fine. If you want to be in the photo as well, just pick that photo. So I was scrolling through every single one of me and Ollie, and the one that stood out to me the most was from the hotel in Luton, the last time I actually saw him, because it's one of my favourite photos I think I've got with him. And I was just like, that photo's very special to me. So I chose that one. And then I think we also had to write down what our current job was and then hand it in a little like bag, which might be used like later on in the show. And the guy was just like, if it was used in the show, would you mind? And I said no, because it might be a nice moment, who knows. And then basically at the start of the show, a guy was not hypnotised, well I guess he was, because he was put to sleep on stage like I was in Showman, and he had to do some like unconscious drawing, because the show was about, and I'm probably gonna butcher the name of the person, but it was about Mostradamus, I think, something Damus, I know that, and he basically did like unconscious drawings and things, and believed in like afterlife and death and like bringing back to life and stuff like that, and like prophecies, which is sort of what the whole show was about. And at the start of the show we were all told to like make a prediction, which was then put in a fishbowl at the front of the stage, which was guarded throughout the whole show. And yeah, it was just insane. So the guy did this drawing behind his back, it was placed in an envelope and guarded. So the show, as I said, was all about predictions, and basically at the start there was also little cards which had like name your favourite drink, name a holiday destination, a favourite place, a song, and then these were all put into like a fishbowl once it had been completed, and 2 people had to like randomly pick some out, and then the audience, some microphones were handed out, and basically they had to give like an object or so. And one of the objects which just happened to appear were red shoelaces, and this freaked me out very early on, because my outfit for this show in particular, because like Derren is sort of like a magical wizard, I guess, I don't know how to describe him, I thought I would wear like a dragon themed outfit, like which was mainly red and black, and I knew I wanted to wear my white trainers, and I did have some like white laces, rainbow laces, but then I was like, I sort of want some red ones just for the show, like not knowing that like red laces would become a thing. So then when that came up and I knew I had red laces on my shoes, I just remember pointing them out to Jade and thinking, this could mean that later on in the show I'm part of it. So I was a bit like, oh god, not again. And then after the interval and like towards the end of the show, Derren said that there were some printers around, that some photos had been printed out on people's phones and so on, and basically there were 10 photos I think in the stalls, because obviously he didn't have time to get them from all over the theatre, which were just like randomly dished out, and a guy had to collect them and then like turn them all face down so we couldn't see them, shuffle them up and choose 3 at random. And Derren basically said, if any of your photos appear on a notice board, like give me a wave, let me know where you are, like just react. So one photo appeared, it wasn't mine. Second photo appeared and it was a woman's, so she like made a noise, stood up, and then Derren was like, go to the stairs. And then mine appeared and I was just like, oh my god. And because obviously I was like front row, slap bang in the middle, Derren just knew that it was mine, so he was like, can you also go to the end of the row and wait by the stairs? And I did, and then the same guy who had approached me earlier on in the evening came up to me and was just like, can you come with me? So I did, and then he gave me a clipboard, a pen and a piece of paper and said, could you write down the name of the person in the photograph and then an interesting fact about them that only you would know, that like no one else would know. And this was done like away from Derren, away from the audience, and no one could see what I wrote. It was very much like a secret, I think. I don't know, it's all trickery at the end of the day, so anything could have happened. But yeah, and then after that I put it in an envelope and then just kept hold of it. And then the guy was like, just go back to the stage, like to the stairs, and then Derren will let you on stage. And then he was just like, and honestly, you are gonna love what is about to happen, because it's such a special moment on stage, so you'll have a brilliant time. And I was just like, okay. So then I got invited on stage by Derren. And he was just like, hi, nice to meet you, what's your name? So I told him my name, and then he was like, go and take the seat on the far, I want to say it was on the right, because, yeah, I think it was on the right, like, because there was 3 chairs, and he was just like, take the far one. So I did. And then he got the guy who had done the unconscious drawing at the very, very beginning of the show. He got him back on stage, and he said, can you get the envelope that you put in the fishbowl at the start of the show? So he did. And then he said to him, can you give it to any of the 3 people who are on stage now, and just like give it to the one that you feel it has to go to, like you just need to find a connection with one of these people. And I don't know if it was like a thing, but Derren sort of kept on looking at me, and I was like, is it meant to come to me? Like, is that a signal? And then the guy was like, it's sort of between her on the end and the guy on the far left. And Derren just kept on saying, like, make sure it goes to the right person, like it's got to feel right. And then Derren was just like, who are you leaning more towards? And the guy went, I'm leaning more towards Lucy for some reason. So he gave me the envelope, and Derren just said to me, keep it safe, don't open it, just like put it on your seat, put it on your lap, whatever you want to do, just don't look at it. So I was like, okay. And then he did some like mind reading with the woman who was next to me, which was so odd because I've never really seen it up close. Like, I'd seen it on some other stage shows he's done and on TV, but never had it done to me yet. And then he asked me to stand up and was like trying to guess things about like the photo, and he managed to get the location of the hotel, which I found mesmerizing and just like so strange, because like no one could guess that. Like, it was just a hotel, it could have been anywhere. I just don't understand how he knew it was Luton, because I didn't tell him, I didn't write where it was from, so who knows how he managed to get that. I just don't know. And then it came back to like what I wrote on the piece of paper that obviously only I knew. And he was like, I want to try and guess the name of the person. I was like, okay. And then he just said, just think of the name in your head. Don't say anything out loud. Just think it over and over again in your head. So I did. And then he was like, if you can think of a letter that stands out, just keep thinking of that letter. But again, don't say anything out loud. And I just thought, like, as soon as he said that, the letter L just jumped out at me. And then he said, there's a L in there somewhere, isn't there? And I said, yes. And then he was like, it's not Ollie, is it? And I said, yeah. And then he was like, did he go like going outdoors and like going on walks, and he did a special trip, which is I think what you're thinking of? And I said, yeah. And he was like, can you remember where this trip was to? And I said, yes, I remember where it was from, like where it was to. And he was like, it wasn't to the Great Wall of China, was it? And I was just like, yeah. Which just like blew my mind, just freaked me right out. And then after that, he told me to just keep standing, because he was doing like stuff to like the others as well, but spent quite a bit of time with me actually. And unlike the first time at Showman, where I basically had to be told to relax, I just instantly felt relaxed and at ease. Like, I didn't felt forced in any way. Like, I think because I was sat down, and it was more like, in a way I guess it was quite intimate, which was quite nice, just to have like a moment again. And then he was just like, can you just show me your hands for a second? So I put my hands out like that, and he was just like turning them over, like feeling them, looking at them. And then the creepiest thing happened. He said, you don't by any chance work in retail as well, do you? And I said, yeah. And he was like, you've worked there, I want to say, for quite a few years now. And I was just like, yeah. And he went, you didn't start as the role you are now, you sort of worked yourself up and became a supervisor, is that correct? And I was just like, yeah, it is correct. Like, it's exactly what happened to me at work. Like, I worked myself up and I got it. So I was just like, how can somebody know that information just from looking at my hands? Like, I don't think I have things that show, I don't know. Like, that just baffled me. And then it came to like the objects at the start of the show. So the prophecy for number 1 was Alton Towers, a brown tie, and a Coke bottle. So in photo number 1, which was of a special place, photo number 1 was taken at Alton Towers because there was an Alton Towers cup on the table with the woman in it. The second photo, which was of the woman's dad, he was wearing a brown tie. And finally, in my photo, which I didn't even think of, I think it was in front of the mirror, behind my arm, was a Coke bottle. And I was just like, how? Because no one told me which photo to choose. Like, I just chose a photo that felt right and the one that I loved the most. Like, there was no other reason why I chose that photo. Like, I could have chosen anyone. Like, but the thing is, when the guy was shuffling the photos as well, he had to choose ours without realising it, because if he didn't, then the prediction at the start of the show would have been wrong. And then, lo and behold, in the second, like, little things of the prophecy, there was, I'm trying to remember, The Wizard of Oz, which related to another part of the show, which I'll probably talk about if I do like a Q&A at some point. There was Poppy, which related to the woman who was actually pregnant, and that was the name of her baby. Just 1 second. And then, like I said, the shoelaces happened, and Derren just went, I just want to point attention to Lucy's shoes for a second. And the camera panned down and zoomed in on my red shoelaces, and I was just like, that was just mad. I was just like, that's the thing, like, nobody told me to wear them. Like, it was just my choice. Like, no one told me I had to do this, I had to do that. It just happened. And then it got to the part of the envelope and the significance of that. So Derren told me to bring the envelope and take it over to the notice board. I was just like, what's going to happen now? Like, I was already mind blown, I was already shocked, so I wasn't really expecting anything else. And then for him to open the envelope, get out the drawing, so he did that, placed it on the first photograph, no match, placed it onto the second photograph, no match, and then placed it onto my photograph, and it was an exact match. Like, the person had drawn behind the back with their eyes closed, he had drawn the outline of my face, the outline of Ollie's face, and like one of my glasses, but he'd also drawn like the mirror and the outline of my outfit as well, which was just like, how? Just how? Like, that blew my mind. Out of everything else that happened on stage, to me, that was the thing that freaked me out the most. I was just like, how did the person know to draw that? Because he was just a random member of the audience, like, and so was I. Like, I'd never met the person, he'd never met me. I was just like, no way. And the amount of times I had to hold back from swearing because I was just like absolutely mind blown. It was just, in a way, I do think this experience was creepier than what happened to me at Showman. Like, and in a way, I think because I was more relaxed, I sort of, I don't know, like, maybe because I'd been used before, Derren just found a better connection with me, but I don't know if he remembered me, I'm not sure. But yeah, it was just unreal and so incredible. Like, I won't ever forget that moment and getting used again, which was just incredible. And fun fact, my sister and her boyfriend are currently on their way to go and see the show, so I hope they do enjoy it as much as I did. And yeah, just honestly, if anyone is skeptical about Derren Brown or hasn't seen him before and has always wanted to see him, just book tickets, go see him, because he is a genius. Like, I've only seen him now 3 times, and every single time he does not disappoint, like, at all. He was so incredible, so amazing, and I am so tempted to book tickets to go and see him in Bradford, because he is doing Bradford, and I just have to see him again. I do. Like, I've just got to see him, because it was one of the best shows. Well, yeah, I do think it was one of his best. Like, again, it was a lot darker than Showman was, and like, he just put so much time and effort into his live shows. So yeah, take it from me, take it from someone who's been on stage twice. Go see it, go enjoy yourself, go with an open mind, like, just embrace every second, and in the words of Showman, don't sleepwalk through life. Like, incredible, just incredible. And yeah, I hope that the rest of the tour goes well, and I am sure I will get tickets to Bradford, so watch this space, because I really want to go back, because it was just amazing, and yeah, so incredible. But anyway, that was my video of my onstage experience from Only Human, and yeah, I would go and do it again in a heartbeat, because it was just, like the guy said, it was so wholesome and so incredible. And because obviously COVID isn't really a thing anymore, it wasn't socially distanced, and I could actually properly react, and I did get a big hug off Derren at the end, which was really nice. So yeah, and yeah, just absolutely mind blown as always. What a true showman, wizard, performer he is. So yeah, just don't be scared, book tickets, go and embrace it. That's what I will say. But yeah, I really hope that everyone who watched this enjoyed, and if you did, please do not forget to like and subscribe, and I guess I will see you all very soon with a new video. But for now, this is Redhead Boo signing off. Bye!